Okay, hello everyone. All right, so in this video, let's just try to create a simple example program, right? I'm saying simple, not in a bad way. I'm just saying simple because we're going to try to, use what we've learned in the past video to create, a very a small program, with a few lines of code to try to, get a better understanding of what we're trying to do with relational operators. All right, so let's create a program, right, using the option pane. We are going to set, right, let's say we are going to set a passing score, or basically, passing score of, let's say, 80, and then we're going to allow a student or anyone to type in a score, the score they had in their let's say, exam. And basically, if their score is greater than the passing score, if their score is greater than or equal to their passing score, we display a message to them and we tell them, congratulations, you've passed. Then if their score is less than or equal, is less, not less than or equal to, is less than the passing score, then we tell them, sorry, or something like that, right? So we'll have a better understanding when we create it. So we're going to use the option pane to accept input from the user. We can use a scanner, but let's use the option pane since it's, it's kind of fresh because we just learned that. All right, so if we're going to be using the option pane, we know we have to import it, right? So let's import javax.swing.jOptionPane. We are importing the option pane class located in the javax.swing package in the Java API. All right, we know with the option pane class, we don't have to declare an object. We can just directly use the methods in the option pane class, right? So let's ask the user to enter, before that, let's set a passing score, right? Remember we learned about constant or final variable or final values. Let's create a constant that's going to store the passing score, right? Because we don't want that changed unless we want to change it before the program starts. We don't want to change it while we don't want any part of the code to change it while the program is running. All right, so we know to do that, the passing score, we can either make it a double or an int, but let's just restrict it to let's make it a double so it's more realistic. So we know if it's a constant, we start with the keyword final, and let's make it a double. So final double, let's call this passing score. Now remember, when we are declaring final variables, by popular convention and good convention, we make the variable names uppercase, and then we separate. If they're more than one word, we separate them with underscores. So final double, let's call it passing score. So it's going to be something like this: passing score in uppercase, underscore separating the two words this way. And then we set the passing score. Let's set it to, let's say, 85, right? And then we terminate it. And then over here, now since we've set the passing score, let's ask the user to enter their score. And we can do that with the option pane's show input dialog method, right? So option pane dot show input dialog, and then we know that all we have to do is display a string to the user and say, okay, please enter your score, right? So please enter your score. And then we know that the option pane is going to return whatever the user types back to us as a string. So we need to create a string variable that's going to store the user's input. First of all, even though the user is going to type in a number, we know that the option pane the option pane's show input dialog method is going to return that number to us as a string. And so we need a string variable to store that. So I'm going to declare a string reference variable. I'm going to call it user input string, right? And user input string is going to store the whatever the user types, okay, which is being returned to us as a string. All right, so I'm going to store whatever the user is typing, right? That string object that the user is typing, or basically it's going to turn that string object to us as a user input string. Bear in mind that this is a class type variable. It's a reference variable. It's not directly going to store the string, right? But you can say that. But really what's happening is it's storing the memory address of that string object, okay, that the user has typed. Okay, so in other words, it points to the string. It points to that string object, right? It references it. So it's a class type variable because it's a variable created from the string class. All right, we'll learn more about classes and objects, so don't worry too much about that. All right, so now we have the user's value stored in user input string as a string. But the thing is, if the user is going to type in their score, we want it as a number, right? We want that value as a number so we can do stuff with it. So we can use it we can compare well. If we wanted to do math with it, we need it as a number and not as a string. So we need to convert the string to a number. In this case, we need to convert it to a double, right? Because whatever the user types can be a double. The user could have typed, let's say, 75.8. So we need to convert it properly. And remember, we used one of the methods in Java's wrapper classes, which we'll talk about in future videos. But we looked at it, we looked at it briefly, okay, in the videos about Java's wrapper classes, right? So we can use the methods in Java's wrapper classes to convert what's stored in user input string, okay, to, for example, a double or an integer or whatever we want it to be in. In this case, we want a double, so I'm going to type in double dot pass double, right? And then what are we passing to a double? We are passing, or we're trying to convert the content of user input string, okay? And we know that double dot pass double, this method is going to basically, this pass double method, or this is going to convert the content of user input string from a string to a double. And when it's done, it's going to return it back to us. It's going to say, okay, I'm done converting it, so here you go. It's going to return it back to us. And so if it's returning a double back to us, we need a place to store it. And if it's returning a double, we need to declare a double variable to store that double value. So I'm going to come up here and then declare a double value. I'm going to call it this time user score. And then user score is going to store whatever the user has typed, okay, which was initially a string. It's going to double dot pass double. It's going to take that string that the user has typed, convert it to a double, and then return it back to us and say, okay, here you go. I'm done converting it to a double. And so we are creating a double variable user score to store the value here. All right, so now we have the user's value here. We have our passing score. We can kind of use an if statement to compare and see if it's greater than or equal to 85. We display a message and say that you have you've passed, right? But if not, if we don't see anything, that means they didn't pass, right? So let's create our if statement, our if structure. First of all, I like to do this first so I don't miss anything. All right, so our two parentheses, our two curly braces, space it out nicely. All right, so a Boolean expression is going to be something like this. All right, Boolean expression is going to be something like this. If the user score, which we have here, right, as a number, as a double value, is greater than or equal to 85. If the user got 85 or more, that's what this is saying. If the user score is greater than or equal, 85. I typed in the value 85 itself, but I could have used the name of the final double variable. Not variable, the final, the constant value, okay, the constant over here. So we can say if the user score is greater than or equal to the passing score. See, it kind of makes sense because we've named it properly. So the user score is greater than or equal to the passing score. If the user got 85 or more, we know this is 85. Then let's display a message. So system.out.println. Let's display a message and say, congrats, you passed. Let's even make it a bit funny and say, if you're seeing this, then congrats. Congrats, you passed. Oh, my typing is bad. Something like that, right? So the only time this statement is going to be executed, the only time you're going to see this string is if the user's score is greater than or equal to the passing score. If not, then we're not going to see it. Then nothing is going to execute in this block, in this curly braces, right? nothing is going to be executed there. And then it's going to continue running code, any code that's below the whole if statement. All right. So we understand this, right? Okay, so when I compile this and I run this, it's going to, well, before that, let's cancel this. And let's not worry too much about this because we haven't written code, right, for what should happen when we hit the cancel button. That's why we're seeing this. So don't worry too much about it. We know that anytime we use a goption pane, we have to call system.exit to terminate that extra thread that is started from the goption pane, right? That extra task, which is called a thread, that is started by the goption pane. And so I'm going to call it system.exit. And I'm going to pass in the value 0. So system.exit is going to terminate that extra thread or that extra task, which is called a thread, started always by the goption pane. And I'm passing in 0 because 0 is going to be passed back to the operating system. And when the operating system is able to accept 0 or receive a 0, then it's an indication to the system that, okay, this program run, well, it was able to get to this line, and 0 was sent to it. When 0 is sent to the operating system, it's normally an indication that the program runs successfully. All right. Plus, it also terminates that extra task, all right, which is called a thread, always started by the goption pane. All right, so let's compile this now. Run it. The user is going to type in their score, assuming we've written a program for your students to check whether or not they passed. They are not seeing the passing score because it's hard coded into in your code. So they're just typing their score to see, okay, did I pass or not, right? So you tell them, oh, if you see a message, that means you passed. If you don't see a message, that means you didn't pass, right? So let's type in 99 and then hit OK. And then yes, OK. So I was supposed to use the goption pane, but I kind of used the system.out.println statement. So we saw it, I don't know if you saw it, but we saw it very briefly here. And because we made a call to system.exit, that it disappeared so quickly. So instead of using the system.out.println, let's use the goption pane since we are sticking with the goption pane, right? So let's change this. Well, let me just make a copy of the string, right? So I don't confuse you. Let's change this to the goption pane's show message dialog, right? So goption pane dot show message dialog, and we know that we're going to pass in null over here, and now it's going to center the dialog box in our screen, right? And then our string here, which I copied, I'm going to paste it here. All right, so this is going to be our string. Okay, so I'm going to compile this and then run, type in our score 99, hit OK, and now it's saying if you're seeing this, then congrats, you passed, right? Because we know 99 is greater than or equal to 85. It's not equal to 85, but it's greater than that. All right, hit OK. Let's try something less. Run. I'm going to type in 84. Hit OK. Nothing happens, which means we didn't pass, right? I don't have to compile it again. Run it again. Let's type in 85. Remember we said if the user score is greater than or equal to, if it's either greater than or equal to the passing score, then the user has passed, right? So, and this is what we use as the relational operator. So if 85 we know is equal to 85, so when I hit OK, if you're seeing this, then congrats, you passed. So this is how you would kind of start working with if statements and relational operators in your programs when you're writing them, right? So we'll see more of this going forward, right? If you have any questions, please comment down below and I'll do everything to respond to them. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time with the next video. All right then, bye bye.